Abram, what a name. Welcome to the program. Let's talk about what you are offering here and why is it different to what we have already had?
Well, Sun Exchange is a platform that embodies sharing economy principles whereby we host projects for schools, businesses, rural communities who are looking to go solar but don't have the money up front to do so. We host those solar energy projects and invite people around the world to purchase solar panels to then have them installed in those projects. Our platform enables the leasing of these solar panels, micro leases if you will, and administers the rental payment and collection to the owners of the solar panels wherever they are in the world.
Right. So what will you do for, what shall we call it, Gogo Moyo, sitting wherever she is in Bushbuck Ridge or perhaps in the Karoo?
Well, in those instances, we would have rural or decentralized solar plants, which traditionally, traditional investments tend to avoid such projects because the end consumers of the electricity are, to quote, unbanked or unbankable. We don't believe that's the case. We're all human. Everybody needs and requires energy, especially affordable, clean energy. And our platform enables access to that for individuals to go solar where previously it wouldn't have been possible. This is a sort of democratic solar financing.
Democratic solar financing it is, but it is not a grant. It is, someone has to pay for it. So we have to talk about tariffs. How will that work?
Well, at the moment, particularly in rural areas, users of energy are buying kerosene or running diesel-powered generators. That's considerably more expensive than solar power and also much more harmful for personal health and the environmental health. So solar power is actually now the cheapest form of energy on Earth. I mean, it really is quite unprecedented how the cost reductions in solar panels have come down.
Abram, just say it again. Abram, just say it again. Did you say solar power is the cheapest form of energy in the world? This is in a country where we're talking coal and we're also talking about going nuclear because these are better alternatives?
Yeah. If you look at the lifetime, the levelized cost of energy for a solar power plant compared to a coal or a nuclear power station, solar power, where there is sunlight available, is now the lowest cost form of energy access. And also the most readily deployable. I mean, it takes a matter of weeks to install a solar power plant in a rural area. You'll be talking 10, 15 years to build a centralized thermal power station and then build the transmission networks required to bring energy to rural communities. So solar power really is this decentralized, distributed form of energy access that also does good for the planet.
Yeah. Absolutely. And of course, you know, the money to build these things is always available, but there's the issue of returns for the initial investors. Are you saying the people who partner with you here are, what shall we call them? Let's call them patient investors. In other words, they're not demanding their back tomorrow and they will not be knocking at the door and saying, hey, I need to get back my capital.
Yeah, well, I mean, the people who use Sun Exchange, they would typically be people who would like to own solar panels on their own home. I mean, in fact, if you look at some of the statistics, so like 83% of the world's population in the G20 nations actually would prefer the whole world to be entirely renewable energy powered. But most people don't have roof space to put solar panels on. And Sun Exchange enables, opens up projects for solar panels to go to. Now, with any solar panel, the value created is dependent on the amount of electricity produced. Yeah. And we can be sure that the sun is going to come up every morning. So that's what people are banking on, the sun. Through our platform. And our platform literally enables the value transfer using blockchain technology, which is the other sort of quantum leap in technology that we're utilizing.
Yeah, I want to come to that, but I wanted to understand just in terms of process, how long it takes to get an expression of interest to setting up the plant.
Oh, I mean, we've had, for example, a project this time last year. We were approached by a tire recycling factory in Rustenburg. They approached us in December, and we had their solar plant, a 45 kilowatt solar plant, installed by February. Sure. So that's a matter of 2 months. So they went from having an intermittent supply of very expensive electricity to leasing a solar power plant at considerable saving through our platform in a matter of 2 months.
Yeah, and we're not talking big projects here. We're talking the smaller stuff, right?
We're talking projects that what we consider in the commercial and industrial sector, which is typically what would be in the funding gap. So projects for households or individual personal level, they're typically catered for by NGOs, not-for-profits and World Bank programs. And on the very big end of the scale with utility plants, like through the RAPP program, built in the Northern Cape, then obviously there are the global funds who would love to be backing those projects. But that leaves projects in the built environment, the decentralized solar plants that directly power businesses and communities. These are in a funding gap which we're closing through our platform.
Absolutely fascinating. Abram, thanks very much for joining us this afternoon.
No problem. Thank you.
That's Abram Cambridge, the founder of Sun Exchange.